Okay, here we go. We're on the very top of Mem Zayin Amud Aleph, and we're in the middle of opening up one of the largest cans of worms in Klal Yisrael. And that's called Sukkah and Shmini Atzeres. Happens to be, in a nostalgic world of Europe, we could hear the can of worms. It's freezing. It's cold. In our world, Yesh Ladin, we have to see. But either way, let's leave all preconceived notions on the side and let's learn a Gemara. So we were on the bottom of Vavim and Beis. That's where we were yesterday.
Oh, we got to the top.
Yeah. No. Slicha. We got to the top, but I'm just starting from the beginning of the sentence. You are absolutely correct. We got to the top. I'm going to start from Amar of Yudah Breder of Shmuel Bar Shiz Meshvei Derav. Shmini Safek Shvi. Saying it the last line. Day 8 is a suffix of day 7. Therefore, Shvi'i l'sukkah, Shmini l'bracha. What does that mean? It means you sit in the sukkah. You do not make a bracha. That's what you would think it means. Rashi takes it to the next step. And I want to speak this one step further than we spoke about last night. Let's read Rashi together. Rashi says, what does it mean, Shmini l'bracha? That you say in tefillah and benching and kiddush, Yoim Shmini Chag Hatzeres Hazeh. What I want to speak out is that it's really two sides of the same coin.
But you're also not saying Leishiv.
Very good. It's two sides of the same coin. Rashi is spelling out Shmini Lebracha, meaning you don't make a Leishiv. And what do you do instead is you say Yom Shmini Chag Hatzeres Chag Hazeh. Meaning that half is the same coin. The reason I said that is you'll see in a moment. Rav Yechanan Amar. No. Shmini Lazeh ulazeh, you do not even sit in the sukkah. Seemingly, that's what we would think. Rabbi Yechanan is saying. Says the Gemara, slow down. Meisiv, with regard to sitting, kulei amalei pligi. No one argues. Diyas vinan. Everyone agrees that you have to sit in the sukkah. And Rashi articulates. Meaning, even Rabbi Yochanan, who said it has a din of day 8, even he is maskim, you really have to sit in the sukkah. So, keep ligi, what's the machlekes? Libiruchi, with regarding the bracha of Leishe Basukah, which we just reminded ourselves also means what? The other side of the coin, which is the tefillah of Shmini Atzeres. Let's continue in the Gemara. Leman de Amar Shvi'i l'Sukkah, the top line of Mem Zayin Amud Aleph. According to the first Shita, that it's day 7 for Sukkah. What does that mean? That means it's a Shana Rabbah. Bruchi nami mivarchinon. You could even make a leishev basukkah. Why? It's day 7. That's according to whom? Rav Yudah Breder of Shmuel Bar Shiz Meshvei Derav. Leman Omar.
I thought that was obvious. If they were saying Shmini the bracha, means that the 7th day was obviously they can make the bracha.
That's what the Gemara is speaking out. The Gemara is just speaking out both sides. Correct. There's no real chiddush over here. The Gemara is really just finishing up the sentence. You're correct. So again, with regarding to sitting, everyone sits. What's the machlokes regarding the bracha? What's the machlokes regarding the bracha? Says the Gemara. If you hold it day 7, you make a bracha. L'man damar shmini lazeh, then what? Bruchi lo mivarchinan. What does it mean, bruchi lo mivarchinan? You don't say leishiv basukah. And what do you yes say? Rashi once again spells out for us that what do you yes say? Says Rashi 2 lines from the top. V'hainu lazel l'sukkah. Deloy mivarchinan lebircha says yoim shmini chag ha'atzeres hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'hakol nihiyeh b'zorah.
So you are saying Shmini Atzeres brachas.
Good. So let's go slowly.
It's only outside of our control.
Correct.
Because in our control,
Correct.
He's not subject speed.
Correct.
The machlokes, if I'm understanding correctly, is
Yes.
Is the 8th day more a question if it's still the 7th day, therefore the 7-day rules? Or is the 8th day really it's the 8th day and it's less of a suffix
Or say
day?
correct. You could always say it's suffix they not, meaning it's
Right.
the next half, meaning
Right.
anytime you have a speak in the yom, it goes both ways.
We can't do both. We can't say
Correct.
Shave and Shmini Atzeres Chag Atzeres.
Correct.
So
That's the
one
reason
person
why.
saying the 7th is
Correct.
including the 8th.
Correct.
Saying no.
Correct. Correct. Now, good. There's a line in Rashi which is confusing, but let's leave it for now. So what does that mean? What that means is everyone is holding. What do you do in Shmini Atzeres? Sit in the cycle. What's the shaila? Do you make a bracha, or do you say Yom Shmini Chag Atzeres is that? And we can understand that the two of them cannot coexist. Correct. Beautiful. Omar Rav Yosef, says Rav Yosef, who's right? Nokat de Rav Huna biyadcha. Grab hold of Rav Huna in your hands. Excuse me?
The Rav
Yochanan. What is it? Rav Huna, right?
Yeah.
I know where that came from.
The next line.
There is a Huna there? Okay. Nokat de Rav Huna biyadcha. Which means one, and Rashi keeps on like spelling it out. Rashi over here is being like mamish a good rebbe. Rashi spells out De Amar Loi Mivarchinon Leishi Basukah. You're not gonna say Leishi Basukah. Beautiful. Why? De Rav Huna Bar Bizna V'chol Gedolei Hadar Rav Huna Bar Bizna and all the Heilige Gedolim Ikloi B'Sukkah. They went into the sukkah, Bishmini on day 8, Safek Shvi, which was a Safek of day 7. And what did they do? Mesev Have Yasvi. They sat in the sukkah, but Ruchi Loi Brichi. They did not make a bracha. So says the Gemara of Leishe Basukah. Excellent. Says the Gemara, L'chayra, beautiful raya. Asks the Gemara, slow down. Maybe it's not a raya. Vidilma and perhaps Svira Lahu, maybe they held Kiman da Amar, like the opinion that holds Kivon, since Shabirech Yom Tov Rishon. Once you make the bracha on the first day of Sukkot, Shov Einay Mivarech, you don't make the bracha anymore. Of Leishi Basukah, we had such a shita that says that what? That all you do is you make one bracha and nothing else. One bracha and nothing else. So maybe the fact that they did not make a bracha on day 8 has nothing to do with the fact that really they're paskening. It's like day 7, it's like day 8 for a bracha, excuse me. But maybe they hold you never make a bracha. Says the Gemara, no way. Gemiri. Now, Gemiri literally means it is learned. That's usually what the word Gemiri means. Now, what? So that's what I'm pointing out. Usually, we'll have Hilchas Gemiri Luhu, which we translate as Halach L'Moshe Misinai. Hilchas, that's Halach, Gemiri Luhu that was taught. And what that means is Moses at Sinai. Over here, it's slightly different. We're going to see Rashi in a moment. Let's first read the Gemara. Answers the Gemara, Gemiri Dime Efer Asu. That they came from Efer. What in the world does that mean? Let's look at Rashi together. Rashi on the last wide line. Rashi on the last wide line. Gemiri Dime Efer Kas. Lamaditi me Rabbaisai. We learned from our Rebbeim. Meaning, what does Gemiri mean? That we learned. Demefer al-kasu, shehein ba'u min ha-efer. They came from the efer. What does that mean? Shebehe moisehen. That their animals, ra'is sham, were, ra'is is like a shepherd. Shepherding. I think, I'm thinking there's a better article term for this. Grazing. Grazing would be English. Roisham, grazing there. Velo yashvu b'sukkah, and they did not sit in the sukkah. Kol yemei hachag, for the entire sukkahs. So what's the teretz? Now we understand what the teretz is. Let's go back to the Gemara. What was the kasha? Maybe you have no raya. Why not? Because they sat in the sukkah on day one and they made the bracha already. Says the Gemara, no raya. Why not? Dilma Gemiri, because we know that these people, who are these people that we're talking about? Rav Huna Bar Bizna, called Gedali Adar. Let's see what's going on with the Gedalim. They're not busy on, sitting there just learning and mizaging brachas and davening. What were they doing the whole yontif? They did not sit in a sukkah yet. Can you fathom such a zach? In our world, it doesn't even enter our brain. Or imagine, Rochaim Kanievsky visits Havistra on Shmini Atzeres. So he comes into the sukkah and he eats in the sukkah.
Being in there,
He eats in the sukkah, he doesn't make a bracha. So, we have a raya that you don't make a bracha on day 8. Says Gemara, no raya. You didn't look at Rav Chaim's travel itinerary. He didn't come. He's been hanging out. He was with the animals. The animals are grazing for the last 8 days. Today's the first day he made it into a sukkah. Wild. So the fact that he didn't make a bracha, now it's a beautiful raya. So you see, he must have really held you now to make a bracha according to all shittos. Absolutely fascinating Gemara. But that's what the Gemara says. So what should I tell you? I don't know. This is of the more fascinating Gemaras. It's all the more fascinating because the Gemara a moment ago gave them like a whole title, Rav Huna Bar Bizna V'chol Gedali Hadar. It's like telling us that the Gansu Meyatzis came to visit. Yeah, what's going on? They all came to visit. But that's what the Gemara says. Ikadi Amri, we have a second lashon. And as always, Ikadi Amris often mean we flip everything around. Ikadi Amri, Bruchi, with regarding a bracha, Kuli Almalei Pligi. No one argues. Deloi Mivarchinon. No one argues that you don't make a bracha. And Rashi spells out, even according to the opinion that holds that it's really day 7, you still don't make a bracha. Okay. Ki pligi, what's the machlokes? Lemeisav. Oh, now people are getting excited. The machlokes is you actually sit in the sukkah on day 8. Liman de Amar. According to the opinion, Shvi'i or Shiva, it's supposed to be Shvi, it says on the side. Shvi'i l'sukkah, Meisav yasvinon. You sit in the sukkah. Uleman damar shmini lazeh. Meisav nami lo yasvinon. You don't even sit in the sukkah. So says the Gemara, a second lashon and Igad Amri teaching us there was a debate between Rav Yechanan and Rav Yehuda Brei Derav, Shmuel Bar Shilas Mishmei Derav, whether you actually sit in the sukkah on Shmini Atzeres. But let's continue the Gemara. Amar Rav Yosef dives in Rav Yosef, and what does he teach us? Nachamol, Nakit Rav Yechanan biyadcha. Grab Rav Yechanan. Now, what does Rav Yechanan hold? What does Rav Yechanan hold?
It says you don't need to sit.
That Rav Yechanan holds that what? Shemini lezeh. Good. Why? Demara dishmaitza. Because the Mara dishmaitza, the one who is the owner of this teaching, the master of this teaching, literally. Money, who is that? Rav Yehuda Brei Rav Shmuel Bar Shilas. And what did he do? Ubeshmini safik shvi. What did he do? Levar misuka Yosef. Period. So says the Gemara. If Lebar, very good, excuse me, Lebar outside misuka of the sukkah Yosef, he sat out of the sukkah. So says the Gemara, we should pass like Rav Yochanan. Paskin that you're out of the sukkah. Why? Because the Mara Dishmaitza, the one who started the whole story, Rav Yehuda Brei Rav Shmuel Bar Shila says you don't. So now what do we have? We have 2 Lashonos in the Gemara. Just two. Yeah, don't hold your breath for the next line. So we have 2 Lashonos. This is like a Magid Shir's dream. Like sets everyone up so terribly. It's horrible. But says the Gemara, we have 2 Lashonos. According to the first Lashon, he sits. According to the second Lashon, you don't. So now here, and the Gemara doesn't always do this. It is interesting. Often the Gemara says 2 Lashonos. He goes weiter and leaves you to figure out what the story is. But says the Gemara, V'hilchasa. What is the halacha? The Gemara paskins for us. Mesav Yasminon. You sit in the sukkah, but Bruchi loy mivarchinan. You don't make a bracha of leishev basukah, which of course is what the Shulchan Aruch says we do. And really, let's ask the question like a mensch. What's the question?
We said before, it's
Yeah.
Rab old non Rabbi.
Oh, that was the second lashon.
Mini,
Correct.
Zel,
That was the second lashon. No, that's the fight. That is the fight. According to the first lashon.
Rab on Rabbi Yochanan, we hold
So
up.
very good. So the two lashonis, and again, let's just what does it mean two lashonis? Stam, just to Talmud Bavli is Torah Shabbat Peh. So that means one school of thought, everything was transmitted orally. Imagine everything got no Baal Peh, there's no text. So one school of thought translated the first way is you have to sit. Ikad there were some Talmidim that said mamish the exact opposite, that you don't have to sit, and you hold on to Rabbi Yochanan the Marid. But says the Gemara is concluding who's right, that you have to sit in the sukkah. So really the question that we have to ask, and now let's just ask like I mentioned, I'm not going to answer it, is Klal Yisrael was important yesterday. And we know there's thousands, if not millions of people who don't sit in the sukkah on day 8. So what's pshat? Meaning, let me explain better. We're allowed to say people make mistakes. People are allowed to make mistakes. To make a mistake on something that the Gemara goes at length, back, forth, back. It says Gemara, sit in the sukkah. And now that's something that people don't do. You want to tell me there's this epis, a chumrah, an inyan, a thing to do, whatever. And okay, people don't know. To tell me people don't know something that's mamish black and white, it's almost like as bizarre. Imagine we there's a sect of Klal Yisrael that they don't light menorah and Hanukkah. You light menorah and Hanukkah? No, we don't light menorah and Hanukkah. It doesn't go into our brain. So that's how we just. So the question is, there has to be a pshat. It can't be.
Not everything you learn in the Gemara is halacha l'chaim.
No, but when it says v'hilchos is, well, 90. No, well, that could be an answer. Good. No, let me say better. No, you are correct. Could be that we would open up Shulchan Aruch and find that that's that, but we don't. The opposite. You open up all the text and you're sitting. So we have to ask the question: what is pshat? We're not going to answer this question, but what really it just to open our minds that we have to think about is we're discussing, which really just puts together the previous two Gemaras, sitting in the sukkah. What about taking the lulav and esrog? We know we don't take it on day 8. Why don't we take the lulav and esrog on day 8? If we just said that day 8 is a suffix day 7, and you sit in the sukkah, but you don't make a bracha, so why don't we do the same thing with the lulav? Why don't we take a lulav and not make a bracha? Why on day 8 are we not taking a lulav? That's one question that we have to
About our
address.
answer about going into Banish Muscles. You could be in the sukkah and then the track goes over to the next day.
Again, that only
You're only doing it that one time.
they're going to go, but that being in a bin shmash is translated to the next day. That only tells you that the boards of the sukkah have a status of muksa. Here we're talking about proactively. Here we're talking about the fact you have to go and sit in your sukkah on Shmini Atzeres. You have to make kiddush. You have to eat there. So that's not going to help us. So that's really the question: is why are we not taking lulav? However, you're going to answer that question, it's going to open up our minds that in as much as we're holding that day 8 is day 7, it's clearly not fully day 7, right? We're not going to go on Pesach, on the second day of Pesach, and say, oh, you know what? It's a suffix if it's the first day. So we're going to have it. But we also make a bracha, so we sort of know why, because we're running into a clash of saying Shmini Atzeres. But yes, that also opened our mind. But no one's going to say, oh, the second Seder, by the way, have a Seder, just don't have Dalit Kaisis, because it's not really the first day. We never find that. So we have a very fascinating idea that's coming out of this Gemara, that in as much as we're passing day 8 is day 7, it's not fully day 7. And that's really going to be the detail to try to figure out. Maybe that's where it came from, that there's reasons not to sit in the sukkah, but that's not for now. Oh, there are good answers. They're definitely good answers. All the Rishonim discuss these questions. And based on how you answer that question, it's going to be, I'll tell you, one of the answers they're going to give is, and this I'm giving you the answer that's the easiest to open our minds, is that sitting in the sukkah is not nicker, is not recognizable that you're necessarily doing a mitzvah. Because we have a clash. Well, let's just spend a moment figuring this out. We have a clash.
It's not a mitzvah saseh.
It is.
Not a
But
mitzvah thing.
what's I saying? We have a clash. If it's Shmini Atzeres, it's a separate yontif. If it's Sukkos, it's Sukkos. Which one is it? You can't have your cake and eat it. It doesn't make sense. Meaning, on day 2 of Pesach, I'll just tell you the contrast. You don't have a clash. It's Pesach or it's Pesach. So we don't know is today day 2 or is today day 1. It's a suffix. So what do? We're machmir. And it's very easy to be machmir. What do? You go and you have another seder. And then you just run into a question. If it's just a chumrah, how are you allowed to make brachos? And okay, we discussed it. But here we have a much more fundamental issue. It's because if it's not sukkis, what is it? It's Shmini Atzeres, which is a separate yontif entirely. So, which one is it? So that's why we say you sit in your sukkah, but you don't make the bracha. Why don't you make the bracha? Because if you make the bracha, you can't say Asher Kiddushanim V'Sosef Leishev HaSukkah, and then in Kiddush say Yoim Chag Shmini Atzeres Hazeh. That's a stira. You can't be a stira. We're never allowed to be a stira. But because of that issue that we're running into being a stira, so the sukkah allows us, this is how I think the Ran explains, that the sukkah allows you to do an action that's not necessarily a stira to being Shmini Atzeres. Because maybe that's what I need outside. It's a nice day. Who says that shows us? But taking lulav and eser, what would that show you? That would be an action that shows you it's sukkahs. You can't do an action to show it's sukkahs while you're saying Shmini Atzeres. So now, if you take this to the next step, and this is how some want to learn in the words of the Ran, but what if it's pouring? What if it's freezing cold? And you go sit in the sukkah? Is that an action that's, oh, I just happen to be having a meal outside? No. That's an action that's a proactive screaming. It's sukkahs. Whoa. You're not allowed to do that. Because if you're allowed to do that, you'd have to take your lulav and esrog. And just like you don't take your lulav and esrog, is why you can't do an action that shows it's sukkahs while saying Shmini Atzeres Hazeh. So it comes along some of the paiskim and say you can't go in your sukkah. In the nostalgic world of the Gemara, clearly the weather was nice and clearly it wasn't a big deal. So Mesim is Marcina Meverchina Lebeverchinan. Sit in the sukkah, don't make a bracha. You can have your cake and eat it. And if you're the onlooker watches, what do they see? They say, oh, it's Shmini Atzeres today. You're in your sukkah. Well, it was nice outside. It's just l'chumrah. We could always be l'chumrah. But if the action is a direct stira to what you're doing, then you can't do it. That's the Ran's pshat, I believe. Yes, 100%. 100%. That's many of the other Rishonim go in and say, no. Lulav and esrog is a proactive action, and sukkah is just, that's where you're eating, and that's the chiluk. But if I'm just saying, the reason I'm using the Ran's pshat is because then it could open our minds why there might be a theory not to eat in the sukkah. Because if you're going to say you're living in a freezing cold place, you're saying that 4 billion Hasidim are going to visit the Rebbe, you're saying it's pashut impossible. What does it mean it's impossible? Come on. We're saying this as a positive for the Hasidim. Telling me the 100,000 Hasidim going to visit the Rebbe, they couldn't figure out a way to make a sukkah for lamtit in it? Everything else they could figure out, that's where they stopped? That's what everyone parrots, right? Everyone parrots that they used to visit the Rebbe for Shmini Atzeres or Sukkot Seiros, they couldn't eat in the sukkah. Why not? That's the big deal? No, so that's not pshat. Pshat is that if they were to do it, it would be an action screaming, it's sukkahs, but it's not a Shmini Atzeres. Therefore, you can't do it. Maybe, that's one simple way of learning that
So why don't we take the lulav and esrog and just don't make a bracha?
So that's what Rashi is saying. The answer is that what? That's an action. As soon as you take an action, that action inherently screams, no one today is going to walk into shul. Right. And the moment you pick it up, that shows it's sukkahs. The moment you walk outside of your porch and go have a mezainis on your porch, that shows that it's no. So that's one malach. That might answer it. We're going to stop over here. Shul, you're on tomorrow night? Chazar? Who's on for Chazar tomorrow night? Shul, you didn't give yet. Want to give tomorrow night?
I know what you're doing.
You don't know.
Yes?
Shul?
Right.
Nimnu v'gam. Siyata the Shemaya.